Chapter 12. Equanimity through trials. O best among men, Arjuna. The person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Bhagavad-gita 2:15. As we walk our own modern pilgrimage, the path is rarely smooth. Life's landscape is filled with unexpected trials, often appearing as sudden illnesses, looming financial crises, the painful dissolution of a cherished relationship, or the chaotic descent of the political world into anger and division. In these moments, it is profoundly easy to feel as Christian did when he was sinking in the slough of despond or languishing in the dungeon of giant despair. It is easy to believe that we have lost the path, that the journey is a failure. In my own meditation and yoga practice, cultivating inner equanimity, a steady mind amid life's inevitable fluctuations, is a central, continuous endeavor. My students too grapple with this, seeking a practice that offers not just temporary relief but a fundamental resilience to the non-permanent appearances and disappearances of happiness and distress. They yearn for a stability that doesn't shatter when the external world becomes turbulent. My father, having spent decades integrating profound spiritual insights into his own life, recognized the universal nature of this pursuit of balance. He responded that for us, still navigating this material existence, the lessons learned are to be applied here and now, transforming our daily experiences. The vision of equanimity. The concept of equanimity or steady-mindedness is paramount in the Bhagavad-gita. The very verse that opens this chapter, 2:15, teaches us that true spiritual advancement is characterized not by the absence of challenges but by an unwavering internal state despite them. It's about developing a profound inner resilience that allows us to tolerate the non-permanent appearances and disappearances of happiness and distress, much like one tolerates the cold of winter or the heat of summer to perform one's duties. My father elucidated the broader concept of samadarsana, or equal vision. The Gita states that the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater. This equal vision doesn't mean ignoring external differences. It means seeing the eternal spiritual soul, Atman, within all beings regardless of their temporary material coverings. When one's mind is in equanimity, one has conquered birth and death, even in this life. Christian's ultimate triumph, and indeed his path after the palace beautiful, is filled with trials like the valley of the shadow of death, the encounter with giant despair, and even the loss of faithful. These are profound distresses. Yet the samadarsana cultivated through his journey allows him to persevere. His grief over faithful's brutal execution at Vanity Fair is real, but ultimately his conviction is strengthened, not shattered, reflecting the principle that a person of steady mind is not disturbed in mind even amidst the threefold miseries or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger. The mind can be our greatest friend or our worst enemy. Arjuna described his own mind as flickering, agitating, strong, obstinate, and its subduing as difficult, like controlling the wind. But a sage of steady mind learns to control this internal adversary. Such a person is always silent and satisfied with anything. He does not care for any residence, he is fixed in knowledge and engaged in devotional service. This is the inner peace that allows Christian to overcome despair and ultimately cross the river of death with the help of Hopeful, who reminds him of the king's promises. Experiential knowledge. This equanimity is not achieved through mere intellectual understanding alone. It requires deep, experiential knowledge, which the Bhagavad-gita calls Rajavidya, the king of education. As Lord Krishna declares in the 9th chapter, this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. Verse 9-2. This knowledge holds a supreme position because it involves understanding the fundamental difference between the eternal spirit soul and the temporary material body. This distinction is critical because it liberates us from false identification with material happiness and distress. This Rajavidya gives direct perception of the self by realization, making it both transformative and joyfully performed. The culmination of this supreme secret is devotional service, bhakti yoga, which is the direct path to self-realization and connection with the Supreme. My father explained that the unity of spiritual traditions is revealed through the lens of Rajavidya. Bunyan's allegory and the Vedic tradition, though culturally distant, have converging core truths. Both speak of a burdened soul, a temporary world, city of destruction or Maya, the need for guidance, evangelist or guru, internal battles with ego and doubt, Apollyon and giant despair, and the ultimate destination of eternal bliss and divine service, celestial city or Vaikunha. The Bhagavad-gita provides the systematic philosophical framework for understanding these universal truths, which are otherwise often obscured by unscrupulous commentators or mental speculation. Without this proper understanding derived from disciplic succession, parampara, even sincere seekers can be bewildered on the path of spiritual guidance or perfectly befooled. The challenges and opportunities. The modern world is a magnified version of Vanity Fair, constantly selling desires and illusions. It is incredibly easy to be attached to fruitive action, karmasanjanam, driven by unlimited desires and longings of rajas, passion. The threefold miseries, adhyatmika from one's own body and mind, adhidivika from natural calamities, and adhibhaudika from other living beings, are relentless. However, Rajavidya and the cultivation of equanimity teach us not to be disturbed by them. This knowledge teaches us to maintain a steady mind by understanding the non-permanent nature of suffering, sharing the wisdom of equanimity. The wisdom of equanimity and Rajavidya is a cornerstone of teaching, showing students that their struggles are part of a universal human predicament. I guide my students to understand that equanimity is not apathy but deep inner stability, the ability to remain connected to their eternal spiritual identity even when external circumstances are turbulent. The concept of Rajavidya inspires the sharing of the profound systematic knowledge of the Bhagavad-gita. This helps students to discern true spiritual wisdom from fleeting trends or misleading interpretations. I emphasize that despite the diversity of spiritual paths, the ultimate goal of self-realization and reconnection with the Supreme is universal. My role, much like Christians' guides, is to present this king of education in a way that helps them find the direct perception of the self by realization that is so joyfully performed. Offering the clarity of Rajavidya and the path to equanimity is a sacred duty. It helps students cultivate the inner strength to face their own vanity fairs and doubting castles, not with fear but with wisdom, faith, and the serene certainty that comes from a mind fixed on eternal truth, realizing that their liberation is assured if they simply take shelter of the Supreme Lord and His instructions, becoming true sages of steady mind. Cultivating equanimity is like becoming the deep-sea lighthouse keeper. The turbulent water, the weather, the waves, the storms of happiness and distress may rage constantly outside. The lighthouse keeper doesn't try to stop the storm or control the waves. Instead, he tends the light, keeping it steady and bright, fixed on the eternal knowledge above the chaos, providing guidance without being moved by the motion below.